And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you. We have had some major power problems here in the Bronx, and our great thanks to the folks down in the truck and the personnel here at Yankee Stadium for helping us get on the air for the first game of the year between the Mets and the Yankees in the brand new Yankee Stadium. Joba Chamberlain throwing in his warm-up pitches and getting ready for the start of tonight's game, which is just moments away.
Well, it's interesting to be here at this ballpark. All the guys for the New York Mets, I was talking to them today as they came out of the dugout, and they were like little kids looking at this new, beautiful edifice here in the Bronx.
Well, it certainly is beautiful, and everything I've heard about it, and it's impressive, no question about it.
Well, because of the power issues that we have suffered here, we are going a little minimalistic tonight. We don't have any graphics for the moment, so just baseball and conversation.
By the way, there's a lot of people out there that are really, really happy. Boy, thank God we don't have to look at those three guys again.
I bet you Phil Musnick's very happy. He hates graphics.
Alex Cora will lead things off against Joba Chamberlain, two teams who suffered series losses to division rivals over the last 3 days and badly needing wins coming into this first Subway Series game tonight. Cora hitting at .286, and Chamberlain's first pitch is in for a strike. Alex playing his 7th game since coming off the disabled list. Had a big hand in all 3 Met runs last night against the Phillies with sacrifices and advancing groundouts. Facing the 23-year-old Chamberlain. And Cora takes outside 1-1.
And we'll take a look at the, you see the Yankee defense right there. That's right, no graphics, folks. Forgive me. We'll get with it. Slightly to the opposite field. They're playing him in the outfield, as you can see.
1-1 to Cora, and there's a strike.
So we can't do the Lexus defense today?
Yeah, eventually we
can do whatever you want to do.
Fernando Martinez on deck, then Carlos Beltran in the opening inning. First start ever for Joba Chamberlain against the Mets. The Mets saw him for 1 inning of relief last year at the old Yankee Stadium and got a run against him. Low and inside to Cora, 2-2.
His last start, he gave up 3 runs to the Tampa Bay Rays in 6 innings of work. His problem has been in the first inning. 11 starts, 11 runs, 10 earned in those first innings.
8.44 first inning earned run average for Chamberlain. Slow ground ball down to Alex Rodriguez. And the sidearm throw in time to get Cora for the first out of the night. So 1 out and nobody on. And there are the graphics on Joba Chamberlain. See, we're getting back up to speed.
There we go. Justin Lewis Chamberlain, Joba to baseball fans to see those strikeouts, 55 and 59 in the 3rd innings. Hitters are hitting about .310 in the first time through the lineup, and then .218 after that. So it takes him a while to warm up.
Ronnie, do you find that odd for a guy who started out his career as a lights-out bullpen guy?
I don't, because I think what happens is he's in between. He doesn't know to be hard charged and go right after the hitters, or should he just be relaxed and kind of go about his pitching. He's in between.
And we'll look at the Yankee defense. As you see Teixeira over there. The Yankees won that sweepstakes in the offseason. Come over here. First year with the Yanks, 2-time Gold Glover. Of course, the old captain Derek Jeter at short.
2-0 to Fernando Martinez. Teixeira's made a huge difference for that Yankee infield, not just in terms of his own fielding, but the errors he saved for other guys.
Well, Jeter only has 2 errors this year, and they have said, the people that have watched this team all season long said that Teixeira has picked at least 3 in the dirt from Jeter this year.
Melky Cabrera getting under Fernando Martinez's fly ball, and they're 2 away. So 2 up and 2 set aside. Let's take a glance at the Mets starting lineup tonight, brought to you by Geico. A little bit of a change now with Wright moving into the cleanup spot. Church 5th, and Sheffield, who had been batting cleanup, moves down to 6th, Keith.
Well, we were going to talk about it on the open, which we didn't get to do, but this is the first game that Sheffield's been moved out of that cleanup spot. He's been struggling, particularly against the right-handers, and Wright has been so red hot.
Here's Carlos Beltran hitting .341 on the year, 3rd in the National League. The Mets have the #1 and #3 hitters in the league in Wright and Beltran. The task right now for Jerry Manuel is to find the right complementary guys who will generate enough offense around them.
And you would never think that would be a problem, but it's become a problem because they bat back-to-back. So it's the other guys that have the ancillary players are going to have to do more.
2-1 to Beltran with Wright now on deck.
Well, they got Sheffield sandwiched between 2 left-hand hitters in Church and Murphy. And you can see, we talked to Al Leiter, the former Met, who's also part of the Yes broadcast, Yankee broadcast here. And so the job is really the real deal. He has a good changeup. We know he's got a great slider, throws hard.
Always a starter in the minor leagues before he caught fire as a reliever a season ago.
And still just 23 years old in his second full season as a starting pitcher. Way upstairs to Beltran, 3-2.
And the fans just love him here. There's something Ruthian about his personality, isn't there? Larger than life.
They love David Wells here, too. And Beltran swings and misses at the slider. And Chamberlain has his first strikeout as the Mets go down 1-2-3 in the top of the first. Livan Hernandez to the mound, no score.
Mets Weekly. We examine the impact Gary Sheffield has had on the team. Plus, Julie gets tips from Keith Hernandez on how to be a good leader on an all-new Mets Weekly, Saturday at 12:30, only on SNY.
Here's your Mercedes starting lineup for the Yankees, who lead the American League in home runs with 95. Derek Jeter, Nick Swisher, Mark Teixeira. Teixeira's been going great guns since Alex Rodriguez came back to the lineup about 5 weeks ago for the Yankees. Livan Hernandez, who's never beaten the Yankees, will get another crack at it tonight.
152 and 140 lifetime. 5-1 this season, as you see, with that good ERA. Over 1,653 punch-outs in his career and 2,618 innings for the workhorse for the New York Mets.
Derek Jeter leads things off, and Livan misses up and away for ball one. Jeter hitting at .298. And like all the Yankees, he has benefited from the home run propensity in this ballpark. Everybody in the starting lineup, the first seven for the Yankees, have 8 or more home runs. Contrast that with the Mets, where Carlos Beltran is the club leader in home runs with 8.
Oh, Jeter has just murdered the Mets since interleague play, and 378, 102 hits and 270 at bats.
And Livan pokes the outside corner, 2-1. Nick Swisher hitting second in the order on deck, and then Mark Teixeira for the Yankees in the opening inning. Yankees just came from Boston, where they got swept a 3-game series. As Jeter lifts one to right, going back as Church onto the warning track, and right in front of the wall, he catches that pop-up for the first out. And that's the way this ballpark plays.
It's, if you're an opposing fan, you hold your breath. If you're a Met fan. If you're a Yankee fan, you're expectant.
Well, I guess the question is, you come into a ballpark like this as a team like the Mets that has not hit a lot of home runs this year. If it's easier to hit home runs, is that necessarily a bad thing for the Mets? Or might it give them a chance to display a little power that they might not have been able to exhibit elsewhere?
Well, I think with the DH too, the Mets are it's to the Mets' advantage. With they've been challenged offensively with the defense, they're able to add another bat in the lineup. I think that helps the Mets in their current circumstances right now.
Swisher playing right field tonight, switch hitter, and he takes a low and away with 2-0. Well, there have been 105 home runs hit at the new Yankee Stadium. There's been at least one in every one of the 29 games. The only other ballpark to yield more than 100 home runs over the first 30 games was what's now known as Minute Maid Park in Houston.
Enron Field at the time.
There were 105 hit in the first 30 games, so with one home run tonight, that will get outstripped. 2-1 to Swisher, and he lifts one to left field, and that's deep. Back goes Fernando Martinez, and he has room to make the catch for the second out. So 2 up and 2 set aside on fly ball.
And Alexis Metsy defense. Murphy back in the lineup. He did not start any of the 3 games against the Fighting Phils. He's at first base. Snyder behind the plate, platooning with Santos, of course. Beltran, look at that, 29 assists. He's a Gold Glover, that's for sure.
Now Teixeira, who has been on a tear, 19 home runs, 52 RBIs for the year. Teixeira, who signed as a free agent for huge dollars in the offseason, so far has been worth every penny to the Yankees after a slow start to his year.
He had a horribly slow start. And one thing that impressed me, Ronnie and Gare, last year when he was playing for the Braves, when he came over, he hustled everything out, ran hard to first base on routine ground balls. That was the one thing that stuck out in my mind about Mark Teixeira.
Well, Joe Girardi was talking about that today. He said, look, the bat is obvious, the glove is obvious, but it's the little things. It's the breaking up of double plays that you appreciate with a guy like Teixeira.
And after getting hit by Vicente Padilla for the Rangers, that's what he did. He broke up that double play. You know, the old player here who signed a big contract at war number 25, Jason Giambi, you got a hitter, but you didn't get much else. With Teixeira, you get a full rounded player.
Levon's 1-2, slow curve, and he just got a piece to stay alive. 61 miles an hour, I believe. That's the slowest one Levon's thrown this year.
And that's the eephus.
Boy, he must have just barely got a piece of that.
Perfect spin on that one. And to get that thing to break like that.
Levon's been pitching very well. 5-1 on the year for New York. Up and away with the fastball, and it's 2-2. Last start, 7 scoreless innings in Washington. Allowed just 4 hits in that game. Alex Rodriguez on deck for the Yankees. Two to Teixeira, and it's on the inside corner. Strike 3 call. Beautifully painting the inside edge. Livan Hernandez picks up his first strikeout, and the Yankees are down 1-2-3. Mets come up in the second. David Wright to lead off. No score. Here's your Jeep around the majors for tonight. I promise. This afternoon, Joe Mauer, home run. Kevin Slowey got his 9th win as the Twins beat the Cubs 7-4. Last night, the Rockies won their 8th straight, all on the road, beating Milwaukee 5-4. David Wright leading off the second and takes outside from Jabba Chamberlain. Let's finish Jeep around the majors. And Kevin Millwood 7 2/3, 5 hits. Texas beating Toronto 1-0. And Wright lines one to center field. Brett Gardner coming over, but has to play it on a hop. And David Wright gets another night started with a base hit. That gives him an 8-game hitting streak, 18 for 27.
Well, I think the key for David has been is going to the opposite field. And he is trying. That was a ball he could have pulled. It was a kind of split the plate. That's a ball you can pull or go the other way. And he's been staying disciplined and going opposite field.
We didn't know if his record against the Yankees would translate to this new Yankee Stadium, but it certainly has. He's always hurt Yankee pitching.
Lifetime .367 against the Yankees starting the night. Now Ryan Church moved up to the number 5 hole. Did not play last night. And takes low from Chamberlain. Church had started the first 3 games off the disabled list and then did not play last night against the Phillies. Now back in the lineup against the right-hander and in the 5 hole.
Well, I'm kind of looking for Jerry maybe with maybe not so much now with the DH and the interleague play, but certainly at home when he gets back into playing in the National League. They start hitting and running a little more, trying to force the issue. The club has been struggling to score runs, Gary. They've got guys that can handle the bat, that can hit and run. Castillo certainly can. Cora certainly can. I mean, Jerry hit and run a lot last year with Schneider. So Schneider proves he can. I think that Murphy can. And try to force the issue, make things happen to set up the inning and maybe score some more runs.
Why wouldn't you do that in a DH game?
Because you got the extra bat. You can still do it. You can still do it. But, you know, I think, like I said earlier, I think that the Mets are getting more of an advantage with a DH this year than they've ever had in interleague play. Usually it's always advantage American League team because they're set up for a DH.
One and one to Church, and the changeup misses away. 2-1.
Good hit and run guys. Tony Gwynn was a great hit and runner. Pete Rose was a terrific hit and runner from the left side of the plate. Pete Rose was a great hit and run guy.
The one thing though is you might not have to hit and run as much against these tandem of battery mates. Young Chamberlain does not hold you close, and Posada is having really a lot of difficulty throwing ball to second.
Chris Posada coming off shoulder surgery. Church grounds one down to Teixeira. Nice play, and the throw to Jeter to get the force. Quite a play by Teixeira to stop it, and then lofting one over right to get the ball to second base.
Well, it's all about Teixeira, and we talked about his hustle and not some running out balls to first base. Girardi saying taking runners out at second base double plays. Well, first basemen can get lazy when they hold a runner on and not come off strong and cover the hole. Teixeira came off really aggressively, and if he didn't, that ball's in the hole. It's first and third.
How about the touch he showed there? The runner was between him and the bag. The only way was the little shot put over the head of right.
Over the linebacker and in front of the defensive back.
Good go.
Here's Gary Sheffield DHing tonight and trying to fight his way out of a slump. 4 for his last 33. Dropping his batting average down to 250. And we say this just about everywhere we go, but Sheffield, a former Yankee, and he takes ball 1.
Well, they've been pitching Gary inside, and we've seen Gary enough now. He's got the big leg kick, a lot of motion before he goes into his swing. You see the defense right there, shading in the outfield to left field, straight up on the infield, slightly to pull Cano at second. But Gary's got the big leg kick, gets started early, and that gets him committed. If he starts feeling that he can't, Gary, get around that inside pitch, he might start a little bit of a split second quicker, and then you fly your shoulder open and you're dead. You lose your bat speed.
Let's watch Jorge Posada with the signs. That little thumb twitch right there, that means throw the ball over to first base. There we go.
Well, David Wright, second in the National League with 7. That's not David Wright, that's Church, excuse me. We'll get with it.
Church with 2 steals on the year. But the Mets figure to do a lot of running in this series.
Yep.
Except maybe tomorrow with Andy Pettitte on the mound.
Well, Posada hasn't.
Tougher proposition.
Posada's not throwing it like he used to. Posada never was a real terrific thrower.
2-1 to Sheffield.
Well, you know, the way to get Sheffield out right now is to throw the ball inside. Chamberlain, that is not his favorite pitch inside the right-hander, so he's working Sheffield away. And if we watch Posada, the signs he's going to give, most teams have played Gary in the hole. Derek Jeter is playing more up the middle. That favors Gary Sheffield.
Sheffield chasing a slider in the dirt. Now, do you think that's because Jeter can't get to the bag from the hole the way he might have in the past?
Absolutely. I think that he can't play that far over. He doesn't have, you know, I mean, he's a great player, but he doesn't have the quickness he once had. Simple as that.
Church at first with 1 out, 2-2 to Sheffield with Daniel Murphy on deck. Couldn't bite on that one, and it's 3-2. Murphy didn't start any of the 3 games against the Phillies, with the Phils throwing 3 left-handers. This is a very important time right now for Daniel.
It's tough for a young kid. I said it before, Gary, when you put him in a situation where he's not playing every day. He plays, what, 2-3 times a week. It's the toughest job in baseball. And usually they're assigned to veterans, and you got a young kid struggling, anxious to get out there, and then they tend to get over anxious.
3-2 with 1 out. Let's see if Church runs. He does. And Sheffield takes call strike 3. Posada's throwing a hop is not in time. Church steals the base as Sheffield goes down looking and then stops to discuss it for a moment with Field and Culbreth.
Well, this is a hanging slider right down Broadway. That was a pitch to rip right there, and that's just how much in a funk Gary Sheffield's been in.
Bouncing throw by Posada. Cano not able to apply the tag.
If it throws on the bag, he's got him.
So Church picks up his 3rd stolen base of the year. The Mets have a runner in scoring position with 2 out for Murphy. In the 29 games since the 9th of May, Murphy is hitting .149. It's a long time.
Well, you know, how many guys we've seen come up in August or a second half of a year and set the world on fire, and Daniel certainly did that. But, you know, it's tough for the guy who hasn't had a full season in Double-A. That's the limit of his minor league experience, and he's a little baptism by fire here. Pitching's a little bit better up in the major leagues than it is in Double-A. It's a big adjustment.
Well, the Mets would love to be in a position to be able to leave Murphy where he is, play him every day, and write him out. But right now the Mets are facing an incredibly tough month of baseball with a depleted batting order, and you wonder how far you can go with Murphy if he continues not to hit.
Well, I think with the injuries, he's going to stick. I think if this team was healthy, he may have gone down the AAA gear to play every day and hopefully get him in a groove and then get him up when he, like last year when he came up in his nice groove from double A.
I think what it speaks to, though, is the real need for Omar Minaya to make a move. He needs a bat in the worst way. Swing and a miss, and Murphy chasing a pitch in the dirt, 2-2.
And these are the pitches right here that Daniel was very disciplined last year, Gary. Ron, he never fished for those bad sliders.
The natural evolution of any hitter. You're going to get the book on you, and can you make the adjustment once they have the book? Got to be JJ puts.
Little tapper back to Chamberlain. Nice grab on the backhand. And that'll do it for the Mets in the top of the second. A leadoff hit by Wright. Can't get a run home. Livan Hernandez back to the mound to face A-Rod in the bottom of the second. Livan Hernandez retired the side in order in the first inning. Now he'll take on Alex Rodriguez, Robinson Cano, and Jorge Posada in the home second. A-Rod snapped out of an 0 for 14 last night with a big 2-run double in Boston in the seventh inning. Yankees took a lead that they couldn't hold, and A-Rod takes ball one.
Put them ahead 3-1 with CC Sabathia on the mound, but Sabathia tired and the bullpen could not hold it.
Pretty much straight up defense all the way around.
Grounded out to short. Cora moving to his left and throws out A-Rod for the first out. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Gallagher's Steakhouse, home of sports heroes past and present in Broadway's Theater District at West 52nd Street since 1927. By Pella Windows, the Mets official window and door replacement company. Make an appointment. Get 2 free Mets tickets. Call 1-866-64-PELLA today. By Honda. By Sponge Tech, and by Pepsi Throwback. For a limited time only, get down with the refreshingly retro flavor of Pepsi Throwback made with natural sugar.
That took some talent.
Very good, Gary.
Robinson Cano takes ball one. Well, we got some help. Robinson Cano stepped out.
He was saying hi to the umpire.
Cano hitting at 293. And a good off-speed pitch by Livan, 1-1.
Cano, and a little bit of a slump, got off red hot. He slowed down a tad. It's hard to maintain. It's only a special season when you never go into a slump. It's just very rare.
It's got about as beautiful a swing as you'll see for a left-handed hitter.
Two and one to Cano, who has been a puzzlement since he joined the Yankees.
He's been called, as you see Posada on deck, everything from lackadaisical to doesn't have great work ethic, but he's got all the talent in the world.
No, he swings the bat. He's a hitter.
Yeah.
But I've seen him a little lax out there. There's Joe Girardi, the Yankee skip.
Joe in his second year now as Yankee manager. Did a great job in his 1 year in Florida, won manager of the year and got fired. Fouled away, 2-2 to Cano.
Livan so far very good in keeping that ball down in the strike zone.
I think Joe has changed his style a little bit. Mellow just a tad after his experience last year.
I think you have to mellow if you're coaching a very young ball club that need instruction and have to be taught how to play. And then you come over here to a tableau of all-stars.
Yeah, but I think with the veteran players, you have to tone it down.
Cano drives one deep to right. Back goes Church. He'll look him and watch it go. Home run for Robinson Cano, his 10th of the year. And the Yankees jump in front 1-0. So Cano breaks the ice after Livan had retired the first 4 batters. And that is now 106 home runs in the 30th game at the new Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
change up, Ron?
Yeah, a little hanging change up right in the middle of the plate.
Right down Broadway. And that would have been out of most ballparks.
Oh, that's out of every park. That
was not a cheapie. Well, the Yankees have now hit 96 home runs this year, the most in the American League. They've also given up the most home runs in the American League. Funny, didn't we say the same thing about the Phillies yesterday?
Yes, you did.
#1 in both categories.
I remember everything you say, Gary, when you were broadcast.
Can you get me a transcript?
And now they've got it, right? 106 home runs now in 30 games.
Most ever in a new stadium. 1-0 to Posada, and he takes below the knees. Posada hitting at .297. Been swinging the bat much better right-handed than left. Limited to 51 games last year because of shoulder problems. Ultimately had surgery on that shoulder. And he pulls one foul, 2-1. Even at age 37, Posada is still very much the backbone of this Yankee team.
He really is. He's. I know that Derek Jeter wears the C or is the captain, but if there's the second in charge, it's Mr. Posada. As Hideki Matsui waits on deck.
Hey, that core, that team that had that dynasty, you know, sooner or later you're going to get old, and those players are.
Posada deep to center. Beltran back, and it's off the wall. Bounces away from Beltran. Posada takes a turn. He'll hold at second base with a double. So Posada has his 8th double of the year.
By the way, that ball surprised Beltran. Didn't it, Keith? That ball really carried.
It sure did, and that's off the halfway up the wall. And Carlos realizes right there that he's not going to get it. And this ball was crushed. Well, he got on his horse. He just wasn't going to get there.
Ronnie, you've seen more games in this ballpark than Keith and I have. Obviously, the fence is a little shorter in right field. That contributes to some of the home runs. But does it seem as though the ball carries unusually here?
Absolutely. Think of the games you've seen here. You could probably say on both hands, less than 10, the line drives you've seen off the center field wall at the old Yankee Stadium. They routinely go out in center field. They routinely go out in left center field. It's just, it's amazing how different this field plays on the same direction as the old field.
Matsui lifts one to center field. This one playable for Beltran. And that's the second out, and Posada back to second base.
But it's still that right field porch that is 62.
That right field fence goes out at a right angle, 314 right down the line. So that means right by that W.B. Mason sign, right about, that's the left field line.
18.
The listed dimensions on the walls are exactly the same as they were at the old Yankee Stadium, but that fence used to bow out from the right field
Exactly.
corner.
Now it goes straight out.
Now it goes straight across, and it's also not as high as it was. It used to be much higher in the corner.
So just right of the scoreboard, that's got to be like 358. I mean, that's sweet.
Lenny.
Pitcher. Melky Cabrera takes ball one.
You're a hitter, it's sweet.
And remember, one of the reasons that it looks shorter and the reason the fence looked higher in Yankee Stadium, this field was always pitched, the old Yankee Stadium. To get the water off the stadium, it was pitched higher in the middle. So it used to go down in the outfield, which made that wall even seem significantly higher.
Levon falls behind Melky Cabrera 2-0. Melky hitting at .298, and he's had the propensity for the walk-off hit this year. Brett Gardner, the number 9 hitter, on deck. And with first base open, Levon can play around a little bit with Melky, who's a much more dangerous hitter than Gardner. Foul back. 2-1.
Boy, that was a good pitch to hit there, though, for Melky Cabrera. Trying to come inside 2-0.
So this tells Levon right here, Ronnie, correct me if I'm wrong, he's behind 2-0 and tried to come inside. And like Gary said, he could fool around with Gardner behind him. You think Levon will register that and go, okay, he's looking fastball?
Yeah, he's on my fastball, so I have to counter with a change or a sinker away. Very good. Just not for a strike.
I mean, there's two ways you can go, Gary, when you're going to pitch around someone. You can monkey around and dipsy-do them, or you can sneak attack them inside with a fastball, which I think Levon tried right there.
Now it's 3-1 to Cabrera. And Melky drives one to deep right field. Church going back to the track, and he runs it down. Well, a lot of balls hit long to the outfield against Levon Hernandez in that second inning. One left the yard. Robinson Cano with his 10th home run of the year. puts the Yankees in front early. Now we head for the third. 1-0 Yankees. The old Yankee Stadium opened in 1923, renovated in the mid-70s. And now new Yankee Stadium has taken its place. It is a much bigger edifice. The hallways and the concourses behind the stands are magnificent here. But inside the ballpark, it looks very much like the old place, with the facade glued on, which they didn't have in the renovated stadium, but they have put back in a little different fashion.
Well, this entire edifice is 60% larger than the old Yankee Stadium, which is hard to believe.
Brian Schneider leading off the third inning with the Mets down by a run. There's the replica of the facade. It's not quite as lacy as the old one. It looks a little more like a molding that you might put up in your living room.
That's right.
And those vertical slats below the right in here, they're open. Where in the old stadium, it was cemented off. It was a wall. So it's all around the stadium. The wind can shoot through there, and I think that's probably what the main issue is. And they'll probably have to, at some point in the off season, to cement them off.
Well, the question is, do they want to? I mean,
and that's the old stadium, and you could be on the scaffolding there, and you can see where it was the same spot. Part of the ballpark was it's all cemented off.
Right. I guess the question is from a Yankee standpoint. I mean, obviously there have been a lot of home runs hit here, and we can talk about it till we're blue in the face. But do they care? Is that a bad thing for them? Would they like to keep it the way it is, or would they want to change it?
Well, they like it when they're hitting them.
Yeah. That's to Schneider, and did he go? He held the swing, and it's ball 4, and Schneider's on with a leadoff walk.
Well, it's much like the ballpark in San Francisco, Garrett, the new park there, where it doesn't feel so cold because where that wind blows over the third base line, they've got that whole left field line cemented off, and the wind goes over the stadium. So
right, that was a matter of fan comfort more than anything else.
Absolutely.
And they did a great job there keeping the wind out. Here's Luis Castillo hitting 9th in the order. And he swings and grounds one to short. Jeter will have to hurry. Gets the flip to Cano, but the relay not in time. So they erase the slow-footed Schneider, replaced by the speedier Castillo with 1 out.
The most interesting part of that is Luis Castillo swinging at the first pitch off Jabba Chamberlain from the left side. Good play there by Jeter. Cano can really turn it quickly. He has a very strong arm.
Very out of character, Castillo. He gets jammed big time. But you're right, Ron. Very much out of character, swinging at a first pitch.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Alex Cora, who grounded out to third to lead off the game.
Well, we talked earlier about the hit and run. You got a fast runner on first in Castillo. Cora's a guy you can hit and run with. You can hit and run. I mean, if you really were playing for the big inning, no outs, but you can still hit and run with 1 out. I have no problem with that. Obviously, you would never want to do it with 2 outs. Very rarely.
Keith, you get the hit and run sign. What's your thought as the hitter? I know that everyone knows you're supposed to swing at that pitch, but what is your thought?
Thought is to shorten up, and by shortening up, you're not really becoming a punch hitter. But you obviously got to go to the opposite field, and you really focus on the top half of the ball. You must hit the ball on the ground or a line drive. No fly balls.
1-0 to Cora, and he takes up an away ball 2. Now, in terms of defending the hit and run, with a guy like Cora who has a tendency to hit the ball to left field anyway, you're more likely to have your second baseman cover.
You can flip, you can crisscross. We used to do it a lot with the Mets. I used to have the opposite guy cover. I did it in L.A. once with this situation with a left-hand hitter and had Wally, the second baseman, cover. It opened up that hole in right field. Davey chewed me out. And he said, don't ever do that again, because when you got a left-hand hitter, he goes, you run a second baseman over there, He goes, you're opening up that right field hole, and it's a first and third on a ground ball. He goes, never do it on the left-hander. And it never occurred to me, and I never did it again. But he chewed me out.
Remember also the fielders up the middle, they give each other the sign to cover or not cover. It's dictated sometimes by the pitch, Gary. If it's a slow pitch, you might want to make sure you cover the shortstop.
Fastball down the middle of the Cora, 2-2.
They got an interesting scoreboard up there, don't they, for the out-of-town scores?
Well, it doesn't have all the scores up at once, same as the old Yankee Stadium, and I'm not sure why they didn't put in a full out-of-town scoreboard like they always had at Shea and at Citi Field.
There's a news flash. Roy Halladay's given up a run, losing 1-0 to the Florida Marlins.
Two and two now to Cora with Castillo aboard. He's running the pitch outside. Posada's throw kicked out of the glove of Cano, and Castillo has himself a stolen base, his 7th of the year.
Well, good jump by Louis. And they know that Posada's not throwing like he used to, and he never was really a great thrower. And the Mets have that in their arsenal. They can steal bases. And that's something, Gary, I think that they should take advantage of.
Well, the Mets lead the National League in steals with 62 with the 2 tonight. Church stole a base in the second. Now Castillo. And ball 4 to Cora. And the Mets have 2 men on. Get your ticket to a Subway Series game at Citi Field and 4 more games of your choice with the Mets Citi Field Subway Series pack. Call 718-507-TIXX or log on to Mets.com to get your Citi Field Subway Series pack now. Jabba Chamberlain has walked 2 in the inning. And now the Mets have 2 men aboard for Fernando Martinez. Martinez flied to left his first time up. This is his 11th big league start. Had a rough go of it last night against Jamie Moyer, striking out a couple of times, and he takes a strike, 0-1.
And in some ways, Martinez must maybe even favor facing Jabba Chamberlain here after Moyer with all those fastballs in and changeups. Now gets a more traditional fastball curveball guy.
20-year-old Martinez against the 23-year-old Chamberlain. And he lifts one foul down the left field line. 0-2 to Fernando. Speaking of Fernando Nieve makes his first Mets start tomorrow, replacing the injured John Maine, who went on the disabled list after the game last night. Mets have called up left-hand pitcher John Switzer to give them another lefty out of the bullpen. We saw Switzer this spring.
Yeah, he played some major league time with the Tampa Bay Rays, and yes, we saw him. Good breaking ball, which should neutralize the left-handed hitters. He had to help Pedro Feliciano down there in that bullpen.
Well, after what happened last night, I think it certainly opened some eyes about the need for another left-handed specialist.
And they're going to use Ken Takahashi how they used him before, where he's most successful. That is the long man.
Absolutely. And predominantly against the right-handers. They're going to, and like Jerry said in the press conference, he would factor in against switch hitters because they're going to turn around and bat right-handed.
But we're seeing part of Chamberlain's repertoire here. He's a very notoriously slow worker, especially with runners on base.
And that's without midges. By the way, did you see last night in Cleveland the game-winning hit by Sin-Soo Choo hit a seagull on its way out to center field where Coco Crisp was ready to make a play?
Yeah, and it was hit so hard that I think Crisp would have had a nice play at home plate on the runner at second base, but it hit a seagull and went awry, and it eluded Crisp, and the game was over.
And apparently hundreds of seagulls have descended in the ballpark in Cleveland because they eat the midges. The same midges that so distracted Chamberlain in Cleveland during the postseason game.
Cycle of life, Gary.
It's nature for you. Carlos Beltran on deck. I will never forget, though, the picture, the close-up of Jabba with those midges crawling all over him. What a sight. Here's the 1-2, and Fernando fists one foul.
Well, they're pitching Fernando inside, too. And I've talked about his swing. And, you know, I said, when you got someone young And he knows he's hitting 200. He's not really in the flow. He's been put in a tough spot here. I just think he's overstriding a little bit and locking his hips up.
Sometimes one hit, though, can ease all that tension.
And Posada and Chamberlain are going to speak yet again.
Jeez.
How can this be, Ron?
Well, there's been a problem this year, and the stats bear it out. Jorge Posada is the pitching coach, Dave Island, with what's going on here. Jorge Posada is one of those catchers that really goes with the game plan and sometimes is very stubborn in how he calls the game and really doesn't want his pitchers to shake him off too much. And when that happens, a guy like Chamberlain will call him out. No sign there. They got it right on the mound.
If they remember. Slider misses low and inside 2-2. You ever have a conversation with a catcher? He goes back behind the plate and one of the two forgets?
Absolutely. It happens. Sometimes you're embarrassed to even stop play because you don't want him to know.
2-2. Inside he gets hit. And the bases are loaded. Well, Martinez got hit with a glancing blow off his thigh by Moyer last night. And he gets hit much more directly tonight. And that'll bring Dave Island out of the dugout. 2 walks and a hit by pitch by Chamberlain in the third. And Beltran's going to get a crack with the bases loaded.
On Island and Posada and the Yankees in general is that this talented young right-handed pitcher has all the stuff in the world and now has walked to and hit a batter in this inning with that great repertoire of pitches.
So now with the Mets down 1-0, bases loaded, 1 out for Beltran, who struck out his first time up. And Carlos swings and misses at an off-speed pitch, 0-1.
Well, good pitch right there. You got a pitcher that's walked 2 batters and hit a batter in this inning. And boy, you're going to be first ball, fastball hitting, that's for sure. And Chamberlain made a beautiful pitch.
Been using that changeup a lot more this year in his second year as a starter. And Beltran takes upstairs 1-1.
Can't really spot his fastball yet, and that is the key for Chamberlain. When he's spotting that and getting ahead of you, he has the pitches to put you away.
Beltran with 8 career grand slams. Well, if you're a left-hand hitter, that porch and right has just got a whisper to you. 1-1. Foul back and a good rip at that. 1-2.
You see Carl, that's his pitch upstairs. He had a vicious cut.
Got it in enough, Keith.
Boy, it's just beat him a little bit. Good cut.
Castillo at third, 4 at second, and Martinez at first with 1 out. 1-2 to Beltran. Slider misses, 2-2.
Well, unlike the games against the Phillies, this is perfect setup for the Mets. The ancillary lower part of the order now has gotten on base, giving Beltran and Wright a chance here to drive in some runs.
And we got Beltran and Wright back-to-back in the order tonight. 2-2. Pulled foul with that slider in on his hands.
And Chamberlain's got to get his breaking ball over. The first inning, he's got a very good slider and a down slider. He's having a little difficulty getting it over. I mean, when you got a great breaking pitch, that's the equalizer.
Two. Upstairs, ball 3. So Chamberlain has already walked 2 and hit 1 in the inning. Has gone 3-2 on Beltran with the bases loaded.
You drive your manager crazy and your pitching coach too.
25 pitches already in the inning. And still only 1 out.
He has so many little quirks that he goes through. Very much like Mike Pelfrey, who's been trying to get rid of those. Full of them are job of Chamberlain.
3-2 to Beltran. And he golfs 1 foul. And they'll do it again.
Well, the big debate here over at Yankee Stadium is whether Chamberlain should go back into the bullpen and get him out of the rotation.
I think they're pretty stubborn and adamant that he's going to be a starting pitcher.
I don't think the Yankees are having a debate about that. Yeah. I think it's only the fans who keep debating. Problem is the Yankees are missing an 8th inning reliever right now. 3-2. Beltran pulls one foul. However, they may get Brian Bruni back very soon. Bruni, who's been on the disabled list twice already this year with elbow problems, was supposed to throw a rehab outing tomorrow. Now the Yankees may be thinking about activating him tomorrow.
And he did an outstanding job in April, by the way, when there was no talk of moving Chamberlain back. But Bruni's been hurt. As Philip Hughes moved out of the rotation, Chin-Min Wong back in.
At least for one more start.
It's like watching paint dry with Java out there, isn't it?
Welcome to the American League. This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat to Beltran. And the curveball fouled back.
You got a hanger right there.
A little different look from Chamberlain there.
Well, that's always the problem for a pitcher, is that with 3-2 and the curveball is called or the slider is called, you want to throw a nasty one until you get to about 3/4 and you go, oh, but I got to throw a strike.
Yep.
And that's when you throw that little hanger.
Absolutely. With the bases low, a little more pressure.
Boy, he's shaking Posada off a lot. 2, 3, 4 times.
And stepping off,
and
Posada's going to visit him again.
Well, I'm going to take him out to dinner.
Had enough time for 3 chili dogs in all these conversations.
And how do you get in a rhythm, Ronnie, when you get all the stops and starts?
That's why you have 2 walks and the bases loaded with a hit batter, is that you don't get into a rhythm.
But he also has the stuff to get himself out of this jam.
It's 1 pitch away from a ground ball, and next thing you know, he's out and going.
10th pitch of the at-bat to Beltran, and he walked him to force in the tying run. He threw a 3-2 slider. That forces in Castillo, and it's a 1-1 ball game. 3rd walk of the inning by Chamberlain. Beltran's 39th run batted in of the season.
Well, he wanted to throw the 3-2 slider, and now he's still got the sacks full and David Wright up.
And the Yankee bullpen starts to get busy as David Wright steps in. David singled to center his first time up, 18 for his last 27. Bases loaded, 1 out. And the slider in for a strike. Nothing at all. Boren now at 3rd, Martinez at 2nd, and Beltran, after that long turn at bat resulted in the walk, is at 1st. And David fouls with back. And a good rip at the fastball, 0-2.
Well, he throws hard. You can get away with a fastball more times on a bad pitch than you are with a hanging breaking ball. Now, David, he's going to be go to work here. You see those numbers, those.
Veteran Brett Tomko up in the Yankee bullpen. Chamberlain had 0-2, and he couldn't get Wright to bite. 1-2.
Not 1 pitch inside when you got a hitter 0-2. You can't live on that slider. You can't live on that outside half of the plate.
Ryan Church hitting 5th in the order on deck. Now the 1-2, and David fouls that one back. 95 from Chamberlain, hardest pitch he's thrown so far tonight.
He's beaten David to the spot, but that is an awfully good swing.
David always has that propensity to stay in the at-bat, fight off the pitches.
And during this hot streak, the strikeouts all of a sudden for the last week have disappeared.
You're shaking him off.
Strikeout pitcher now.
Breaking ball.
And the curve in for a call, strike 3. Chamberlain gets Wright looking for the 2nd out.
Pitcher's pitch here, Keith.
I think what got him was he took something off, Ronnie, and the off-speed fooled him. And it was a pretty good break, too. Good location. And that's a tough strikeout right there.
So 2 out. And now Ryan Church hit a sharp grinder, and Teixeira made a nice play to get a fielder's choice in the 2nd, and then Church stole the base. Ryan's had 1 RBI since the 27th of April. He's got 3 aboard here. And he takes a letter high strike.
Boy, that was a hanging changeup, too. But you can't be looking at changeup first pitch from Chamberlain.
You know what I see a lot today, too, Ron, is with hitters, with men on base, when the pitcher's in trouble, taking that first pitch.
Yeah.
And sometimes that, fastball first pitch, a pitcher in troubles.
Church lines one toward the right field line, foul. Just got a little bit ahead of it. Otherwise, he might have cleared the bases. 0-2 to Church.
We got this fastball in enough, and it got on the hands of Church and forced him to hit it foul. This is got it in right there. Defense here, you can see straight away for Church. Really, how do you defend Church? You just don't know what he's going to do. He's just come back.
This will be Chamberlain's 37th pitch of the inning upcoming.
Got to be alive for the breaking ball in the dirt if the Ox score on third.
Hit him! And that forces in the go-ahead run. Chamberlain was ahead 0-2, and he hits his second batter of the inning, and the Mets take a 2-1 lead. 3 walks, 2 hit batsmen, no hits, and the Mets have 2 runs home.
I feel like I'm watching a ball game.
0-2 tries to snap this breaking ball off, and nowhere for Brian Church to go.
He loves his slider.
So now Sheffield, as Cora scores the second run of the inning. Sheffield went down looking his first time up. 37 pitches and counting in the inning for Chamberlain. And Sheffield takes off the plate, ball 1.
The difference between being an 8th inning guy and a starting pitcher. In the 8th inning, strikeouts can be so important. If you're starting pitchers, outs are important. Any way you can get them.
And now he's behind on Sheffield 2-0. And in this kind of a pitcher's meltdown situation, you wonder how long can you stay with him. They've got Tomko warmed up in the bullpen. Mets lead at 2-1. 2-0 to Sheffield with the bases full. And Gary takes low, ball 3.
Well, I played for managers that the way he pitched, shaking off Posada and throwing breaking ball, that they just yank him on general principles.
Well, now he's in danger of forcing in yet another run. There's a strike, 3-1.
What did Mike Rizzo say with Daniel Cabrera, the general manager for Washington? I just couldn't watch it anymore.
I was tired of watching him. Well,
ouch.
They're not going to get tired of watching Chamberlain. There's just too much talent there. But this is dreadful. 3-1 now to Sheffield. And Gary takes a strike. He thought he had ball 4. But Field and Colbreth called it a strike, 3-2.
Gary likes to pull the Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter never thought a pitch inside corner was a strike.
Frank Thomas was like that too.
And that was right there. I'll take a look right here. It's got the corner.
So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Martinez at third, Beltran at second, Church at first will all be running. 3-2 to Sheffield. Little bouncer. Chamberlain off the mound. Sheffield goes around him and Chamberlain throws him out. Evasive maneuver by Sheffield, but the inning is over. 3 walks and 2 hit batsmen. A 43-pitch inning for Chamberlain. And with that, the Mets take a 2-1 lead. With a 2-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the 3rd at Yankee Stadium. Livan Hernandez had to sit in that dugout for a long time. At least when you get a long inning in the National League, you get to get out there and swing the bat, maybe run down to first base.
Yeah, but the key is Hernandez is such a veteran. He's had to live through long innings, short innings, whatever. That should not be a problem for him.
Brett Gardner leads off. The number 9 hitter takes ball 1.
So sorry, Gary, but what he'd love to do is not give Chamberlain too much to think about in there and have a nice quick inning and get him right back out there.
He's happy to have a 1-run lead.
Gardner trying to drop down a bunt. Give me an idea, Ronnie, about the conversation that Dave Eiland would have with Chamberlain after that inning.
Well, I think what he'll do first is he'll let Chamberlain talk, because obviously Chamberlain was having some troubles with Posada, having some trouble with his control, so he'll let him talk. And after Eiland takes that in, that's when he's going to give him a pretty stern little talking to. And it will consist of the words of, "You're better than that." That would be a phrase he would use. "You got too good a stuff to have an inning like that." Those are the kind of things that'll be said to Chamberlain to try to, get a little chip on his shoulder to come out here and not pitch that kind of inning.
Gardner lines one into center field, the leadoff base hit. So the Yankees immediately get the tying run aboard. And now Levon will have to deal with the speed of Gardner at first base.
and Derek Jeter. And Gardner, of course, in the minor leagues, stole 153 bases, only caught 31 times.
Jeter flying to the warning track at right his first time up.
Well, Keith, you're talking about your ideal hit and run guys. This guy's not too bad.
Not too shabby. This is a player right here.
Gardner with 11 steals this year in 13 tries, so Levon knows he's got to keep a close watch on him.
Arguably one of the fastest players in the American League, Brett Gardner.
Jeter fouls it off.
He's got an inside the park home run this season, does Gardner. And won the center field job from Melky Cabrera in spring training.
Nick Swisher played with his dad, Steve. Steve Swisher was backup catcher for the Cubs for many years and was with the Cardinals. We traded for him.
Close play as Gardner gets back.
You'll watch Levon. He'll give him all kind of looks. He'll hold the ball a long time. He will have a slide step. And one thing he'll do, Levon, is that his chin, if you watch him sometimes, he'll raise his chin up and then throw over. Raising the chin up sometimes gives the runner the thought that he's going to the home plate.
Because you're not allowed to bob your head.
No, you're not allowed to bob your head, but you can look up if you keep your head there and go to first base. You can also use the slide step, the quick move. He's just letting Gardner know that he's got a lot of different moves, so Gardner cannot key on any one thing.
He's got himself a pretty healthy lead there. And not going, and Jeter takes outside. 1-1.
Well, Derek this year hitting .261 with 5 home runs against right-handers. Boy, with 58 at-bats against lefties, he is hitting .414. That's right up there where David Wright hits left-handers.
One and one to Jeter. Gardner runs. Broken back grounder. Castillo to his right has time to set and throw out Jeter. Nicely done by Castillo as the Yankees play hit and run. And Gardner moves up to second.
Nice job by Levon evading that bat.
Nice backhand here. As you see on the hit and run there, they've switched Gary. They had Cora covering. And they held Castillo to hold his position. So Cora was covering there nicely on that hit and run.
So the tying run at second with 1 out. And now here's Swisher, who flied to left his first time up. Swisher had a dreadful year last year in Oakland, and that made him much more available. Got off to a great start with the Yankees.
When you look at Cora now, just saying no play. He's yelling too. So no, he's just basically saying no chance for the force out. Get the out at first.
Nice communication. So important up the middle.
And the other thing about that play, we've seen a couple of times in the last week, Castillo on the backhand either throwing around or making a jumping throw. That time knew exactly how much time he had to make the set and throw.
They're really trying to work Gardner, who's doesn't have a lot of experience, but Alex Cora at shortstop does. Hernandez, the pitcher, does, and they're trying to find a little play to keep him close, and maybe even a pickoff play. There we go.
And Gardner gets the hand back in. Levon's been on a roll over the last 4 starts, 2-0 with a 1.57 earned run average. He has been a godsend for the Mets. And even more necessary now for Levon to keep going the way he's going, with John Maine out of the rotation for at least a couple of starts.
Well, if you went from the beginning of the year, of course you have your aces, Santana. Pelfrey you could argue is a 2 or 3, And then the rest of the guys started in spring training as all 5s. But Livan's got to live up to maybe a 3 or a 4 now because this rotation is depleted.
They've got Oliver Perez and John Maine both out now. We've got Tim Redding and Fernando Nieve taking up the back of the rotation, and that certainly pushes Livan's importance forward. Now, if he keeps going the way he's going, he is a number 3 start. Behind now on Swisher, 3-1. Comes inside, 3-2.
Well, Swisher was so important to this Yankee ball club. He cut that ball inside instead of letting it drift back over. So important to this Yankee ball club when Alex Rodriguez was out. He had an amazing April.
It's also changed the tone a little bit. He's brought a little fun-loving quality to a Yankee clubhouse that's always been pretty
dour.
Straight.
Yeah, straight and dour, yeah.
But the other side of the coin with Swisher is, over the last couple of days, he's made some base running mistakes. He let a fly ball get by him in right field in Boston, and Yankees are a little concerned about that because that is the other side of the coin with Swisher and that whole fun-loving attitude. Three-2 from Livan, and a high fly ball hit to right field. Church drifting back, has room. Wow. Gardner tagging at second. Church makes the long throw to third, but Gardner arrives there easily. But now there are 2 out.
Well, I must say that Swisher got under that ball big time. That almost went out of here.
A routine fly ball in any other ballpark.
Look at this. He got under this ball big time. And it almost went out.
Ryan Church's shoes are going to be the most difficult to clean with all that red clay on it tonight.
Well, anybody who comes to this ballpark has got to be pre-warned. Fly balls to right field. They're going that far. Here's Mark Teixeira, and he takes a change up for ball 1.
This will be interesting here because, talking about putting on the tying run or the winning run and all, that's not really how Livan Hernandez rolls. He knows who the hot hitter is, Teixeira being the hot hitter. A-Rod not so much.
Teixeira hits one to deep right center field. Forget it. A long 2-run homer off the bat of Teixeira has given the Yankees a 3-2 lead. Number 20 for Teixeira, and he got all of that.
Looks like it might be one of those nights. Wants to come inside. Ron, look at it bleed right out, up and over the plate, right into the wheelhouse.
And I was talking about, I thought Livan was going to be a little more cautious with Teixeira to pass the A-Rod. I was wrong. He went right after him.
Second home run of the night for the Yankees. 3-2 they lead as Alex Rodriguez steps in with 2 out and nobody on.
Well, he knows he made a mistake. Oh, there it is right there. That says all.
Two 2-0 to A-Rod.
Teixeira is a very interesting hitter because he has a slight uppercut, but he can handle that ball up in the strike zone. And in fact, that is the pitch that he will hit 450 feet like he did right there.
Rodriguez fouls it back. Now Teixeira came into the night tied for the American League lead in home runs. He now has it all to himself.
Well, that little freeze frame we had right there was just showed the ball right on the barrel of the bat.
On the inside corner to A-Rod, 2-2. Rodriguez returned on the 8th of May following hip surgery. And nobody has benefited more from A-Rod's return than Teixeira. Hit hard and skips by right and down the line. Martinez will have to play it out of the corner, and A-Rod will pull in with a 2-out double. 6th double of the year for Rodriguez.
That ball just ate up. Delwood came up, too. No time for David to get in front. And that just ate him up.
So the Yankees have their 5th hit off Livan Hernandez. And now Robinson Cano, who homered his first time up tonight, his 10th of the year. This is Cano, his first time up.
That was a changeup that was over the middle, and this is the first start in a while that Livan, Ronnie, is not really doesn't have command.
Yeah, doesn't have command for that little cutter on the outside corner to the lefties.
Lifted to left. Back goes Martinez onto the track right near the fence. He makes the grab. Nicely done by Fernando Martinez, sprinting to that ball. But the Yankees take the lead on Mark Teixeira's 2-run homer. His 20th of the year, giving him the American League lead and giving the Yankees a 3-2 margin.